Russian forces intensified attacks and conflict with Ukraine through house-to-house raids in the Kursk region. Russian soldiers are systematically engaging in conflict at Ukrainian positions. Russian forces are locked in fierce fighting on the Zaporizhzhia front, a critical sector where every village captured changes the balance of the war. Here, rapid attacks and defensive maneuvers shape the course of the conflict day by day. Ukraine's defenses are dramatically changing the course of the war. So how are these operations playing out on the ground? Let's take a look at the strategies and analysis behind each advance. A Russian tank is detected by T-72 Ukraine. The first artillery attack comes after a while without the Russian tank. Tank, which is a critical hit, is losing all movement tribe. The place where the Russian tank was trying to reach was the trenches where Ukrainian troops were located. Soon, an anti-tank rocket is fired from the trench. All ammunition in the T-72 is completely destroyed in a massive explosion. April 15th, 2025. A Russian trench detected by a Ukrainian drone. Russian soldiers start shooting when they see the drone following them, but they fail to shoot it down. When soldiers realize they can't shoot down the drone, they choose to hide in a trench. This is a bigger mistake. The drone carrying explosives drops the bomb inside the trench. Russian soldiers inside are losing their lives. Russia attacks Ukrainian positions with 3 armored vehicles. However, in such an open area, they also become a target for Ukrainian artillery units. 3 tanks are under such heavy attack that Ukraine uses all the means at its disposal: airstrikes, mortar attacks, artillery attacks. Russian tanks are being destroyed one by one. If you look at the terrain, this is one of the places where the fighting was most intense. The holes in the terrain are traces of artillery fire. In these images, Ukraine launches a very risky counterattack. At first, the conflict, which started with the fire initiated by the Ukraine armored vehicle, turns into a complete chaos. A few hundred meters ahead of the Russian trenches, firing. The operation takes place in 2 different areas. While the armored vehicle is spraying, the infantry on the other hand, operates an infiltration into the Russian trenches. Ukrainian soldiers are in a high-risk operation with a rocket attack. Russian soldiers are responding from inside the forest. Motorized rifle brigade comes into full close contact with Russian soldiers. They have air support and tank support behind them. But the Russian soldiers are not going to give up easily. Ukrainian assault platoon suffers 1 loss, but soon the Russian position comes under artillery fire. Just a few meters behind the front line, Russian and Ukrainian armored vehicles continue to clash. Russian Special Military Unit is stepping up the offensive. They are throwing grenades and trying to break through. While this conflict is taking place, Russian tanks soon arrive in support. It's getting more and more difficult. A 2-vehicle convoy reaches the Russian soldiers and tries to support them, but everything is monitored by drones. Tanks arriving in support are met with airstrikes. Ukrainian soldiers have now reached the trench. In the face of this shocking and effective attack, Russian soldiers began to lose their lives. The support team that was supposed to reach them was destroyed on the way. The Ukrainian assault teams moved swiftly, clearing the trenches with a combination of small arms fire, grenades, and drone support. Panic spread among the Russian ranks as many soldiers attempted to retreat or hide in nearby dugouts. Now, there is nowhere to run. Russian soldiers continue to defend to the end. Bombs are being dropped and exploded inside the trenches. In such a difficult wooded area, both sides suffer casualties. After heavy clashes inside the trench, Ukrainian forces have completely overwhelmed the Russian defenders. With no way to resist any longer, The last pockets of Russian troops have been eliminated or forced to flee. The trench is now fully under Ukrainian control, marking a critical victory in this sector of the battlefield. In these footage, a Russian tank T-80 has left its entrance hatch open. A bomb is dropped from the hatch with the help of a drone. The explosion probably killed the Russian soldiers inside. April 10th, 2025. Russian troops were located by Ukrainian air intelligence. Artillery strikes on Russian troops spread over 3 different areas. Soon panic sets in. This small village is completely under Russian control, but now that's about to change. The mortar attacks have been almost accurate. Houses identified as bunkers are being hit. On the other hand, drone pilots are chasing the fleeing soldiers as they try to escape and save their lives. In such an open terrain, they have little chance of survival. Russian soldiers are seen fleeing in vehicles, but they get caught on the way. On the other hand, almost every house in the village is blown up. This shows that Russia is unable to maintain air superiority in some areas. The measures not taken against the drones cause them to be exposed and detected. Ukraine is attacking Russian artillery vehicles. The Russian artillery vehicle is quite misplaced. There is nothing that can hide itself. Ukraine even responds with artillery strikes. Such critical mistakes cost Russia dearly. Moreover, there are many war footage of critical mistakes like this one. The fighting on the front line is growing in intensity. All the while, both sides continue to recruit new soldiers. Ukraine has greatly increased its arms aid from Europe. Meanwhile, Russia is ramping up its military production to sustain the war effort. Despite heavy losses, Russian forces continue to push assaults along key frontline areas. Ukrainian troops, strengthened by new weaponry and advanced training from Western allies, are mounting fierce defenses and launching counterattacks. In the skies, drone warfare has become even more decisive, with both sides conducting constant surveillance and executing deadly precision strikes. Advanced drones supplied to Ukraine by NATO countries are allowing them to identify and eliminate Russian artillery positions with remarkable efficiency, forcing Russian units to relocate frequently under pressure. While Russian forces continue their efforts to drive Ukrainian troops out of the contested regions, their inability to establish consistent air superiority leaves them vulnerable to devastating counterattacks. As long as they cannot dominate the skies, every operation risks turning into a costly defeat, further weakening their position on the front lines.